Ethan Carter and Emma Brooks had been married for only a few months, but every week they discovered something new about each other. They spent their weekends exploring small towns around Tennessee, trying new restaurants, taking long drives, and talking about everything from childhood memories to the family they hoped to build one day. Little by little, two people in love were becoming best friends. One rainy Friday evening, Ethan was watching football while Emma sat beside him with a book. She suddenly looked up and smiled. "Let's play a game." Ethan muted the television. "What kind of game?" "The next time someone knocks on our front door, we can look through the peephole, but no matter who it is, we can't open the door. Whoever resists the temptation wins." He laughed. "That's it?" "That's it." "And the prize?" "I get to remind you for the rest of our marriage that I beat you." He grinned and shook her hand. "You're on." Barely 5 minutes later, someone knocked. Emma walked to the door first and quietly looked through the peephole. Standing outside were Ethan's parents, Richard and Linda, carrying containers of homemade food. A playful idea crossed her mind. She stepped back and smiled. "Your turn." Still confident, Ethan looked through the peephole. His smile disappeared. His parents almost never visited without calling first. For a brief moment, his hand reached for the doorknob. Then he remembered the game. Outside, Richard knocked once more before turning to Linda. "They must be out. We'll stop by tomorrow." Ethan watched them walk away before returning to the living room. "I won," he said, with a proud smile. Emma laughed. "That was closer than you think." Almost on cue, the door was knocked on again. Ethan smiled. "Now it's your turn." Emma confidently walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Everything inside her froze. Standing on the porch was her father, Michael Brooks, holding 2 small bags from her favorite bakery. She hadn't told him she loved those pastries. He had simply remembered. Memories rushed through her mind, learning to ride a bicycle with his patient hands guiding her, celebrating her graduation together, and the tears he tried so hard to hide as he walked her down the aisle on their wedding day. Her eyes filled with tears. From across the room, Ethan saw her shoulders tremble. The game no longer mattered. Emma slowly unlocked the door. Emma opened the door without a second thought. The moment Michael saw his daughter, his face lit up. "I hope I didn't come at a bad time," he said, holding up 2 paper bags. "The bakery had your favorite cinnamon rolls, and I figured I'd better get them before they sold out." Emma smiled through her tears and hugged him. "You never forget, do you?" "I never have." Ethan welcomed him inside, and what was meant to be a short visit turned into an evening of laughter. They shared dinner, talked about work, exchanged old family stories, and laughed over memories from Emma's childhood. Before leaving, Michael hugged his daughter once more. "I'm only a phone call away," he reminded her. "I know," Emma replied. After his truck disappeared down the street, the house grew quiet again. Neither she nor Ethan mentioned the little game they had played that night. There was no need. Life moved on. A few months later, they received the news they had been hoping for. Emma was pregnant. The next several months were filled with excitement. They painted a nursery, debated baby names, attended doctor's appointments together, and wondered which one of them the baby would look like. Late that year, they welcomed a healthy baby boy into the world. The moment Ethan held his son for the first time, he couldn't stop smiling. To celebrate, he invited family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers to their home. It wasn't an extravagant party, but it was filled with good food, music, and the people they loved most. Watching everyone pass their son from one pair of loving arms to another, Emma quietly thought to herself, "Life couldn't possibly get any better than this." But it did. The following year brought another surprise. Emma was pregnant again. This time, she wasn't nearly as nervous. She already knew what to expect, and the months seemed to pass much faster. On a snowy December morning, their second child was born. It was a girl. Ethan looked at his daughter with the same joy he had felt when his son was born. But over the next few weeks, Emma noticed something different. He was planning another celebration. Only this one was bigger. Much bigger. The guest list doubled. A live band was hired. The best catering company in town was booked. The decorations alone cost more than everything they had spent celebrating their son's birth. One evening, unable to hold her curiosity any longer, Emma asked, "Ethan, where is all this money coming from?" He smiled gently. "You'll know soon enough." His answer only left her with more questions. The celebration was unlike anything Franklin had ever seen. Friends, neighbors, relatives, and business partners filled the property. Music echoed through the evening. Children ran across the lawn, and laughter could be heard long after sunset. Everyone congratulated Ethan and Emma on their beautiful daughter. Emma smiled politely, but something continued to trouble her. She knew how much a celebration like this would cost. Late that night, after the last guest had left and the house had finally grown quiet, she found Ethan sitting alone on the back porch, watching the stars. She sat beside him. "I need to ask you something." He looked at her and smiled. "I know." "How did you pay for all of this?" Ethan was silent for a moment. Then he answered honestly, "I sold the farm." Emma stared at him. "The farm?" He nodded. The money from this year's harvest would never have covered a celebration like this. So, I sold the land. Emma couldn't believe what she had heard. "That farm had been in your family for generations." "I know." "It was our future, Ethan." "I know." Tears filled her eyes. "Why would you do something like that?" For a long moment, Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he looked through the window into the living room. Their baby daughter was asleep in her crib. A gentle smile appeared on his face. He reached for Emma's hand. "Do you remember the game we played a few months after we got married?" She looked at him, confused. "The one about not opening the front door?" He nodded. "When my parents knocked, I wanted to open it." "I know." "But I didn't." "You wanted to win." "I did." He smiled quietly. "Then your father knocked." Emma lowered her eyes. "I couldn't leave him standing outside." "I know." "You cried before you even opened the door." She nodded. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan looked back at the sleeping baby. "I'm not saying a son loves his parents any less." He paused. "Our son will love us in his own way. I have no doubt about that." He gently squeezed Emma's hand. "But that night, I learned something." He smiled through misty eyes. "I saw the way a daughter loves." Emma felt tears roll down her cheeks. Ethan continued softly. "When I saw you open that door for your father, I couldn't stop thinking about it." He looked toward the crib again. "One day, I'll grow old. My hair will turn gray. My hands won't be as strong. There may come a day when I need someone to open a door for me." His voice became almost a whisper. "And when that day comes, I believe she'll be the one who opens it, without caring whether she wins or loses." Emma could no longer hold back her tears. She rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. Neither of them spoke again. They didn't need to. Inside the house, their son slept peacefully. Beside him, their newborn daughter dreamed quietly in her crib. Outside, under a sky full of stars, two parents sat hand in hand, grateful for the family they had been blessed with. Sometimes love is quiet. Sometimes it is patient. And sometimes, love is simply knowing which door is worth opening.